Chapter 4. It was just before midnight. The partygoers headed up through the hallways toward the main deck, and Grace followed them. A lot of other people from the first and second class decks were doing the same. On the main deck, a large crowd was quickly gathering by the rail. The night air was freezing, and the stars glittered in the dark sky above them. The sea was strangely calm, and everybody was looking up at something white and glittering and enormous drifting past the stationary ship. Grace had never seen anything like it. "It's an iceberg!" one man yelled. "We've hit an iceberg and we're going to sink!" People in the crowd looked around, worried, and started to mutter to each other. Surely this man was talking nonsense. Suddenly the bow of the ship lurched downward with a terrible grinding noise. Moments later, one of the crew cried out that the captain had given the order to lower the lifeboats. They were going to abandon ship. Grace felt very scared and alone. She thought of Auntie Nora, and tears filled her eyes. She couldn't believe the Titanic was sinking. The newspapers had said that the ship was unsinkable. But now lifeboats were splashing down into the sea. As Grace stood motionless in the chaos around her, word spread that there weren't enough lifeboats for everyone on board, and people started to panic. Soon there was a lot of yelling and screaming and pushing and shoving. But Grace couldn't leave the ship without Uncle Patrick's address or Auntie Nora's photograph. She had to go back to the cabin for her suitcase before trying to find a place on a lifeboat. When Grace reached the staircases leading down to the third-class decks, she found they had been closed off. She had to go a different way, but soon she was lost inside the ship's maze of hallways. "Come on, think," she whispered to herself. "Now where do I go?" Just then, the floor shook beneath Grace's feet, and the ship groaned and creaked around her. The lights flickered above her. Tears streamed down Grace's cheeks as she realized she would have to leave her belongings behind and return to the main deck. She was running out of time, and she had never felt so alone. But she pulled herself together, wiped her eyes on her sleeve, and strode quickly toward the stairs. Getting back to the main deck wasn't easy, though. All the hallways were at steep angles now, and in some places, Grace had to pull herself along the wall as if she were climbing a mountain. The lights were flickering even more, and everywhere seemed eerily empty. At last, she spotted someone ahead of her, a girl. As Grace got closer to her, she realized it was Catherine, the girl who had gotten her into trouble. Their eyes met, and Grace knew Catherine recognized her, too.